Hey, everybody. This is Jordan McConnell with the Crohn's Veteran Podcast. Thank you for joining us. I am joined by my amazing co-hosts, Renika Wood and CJ Cabrera. How you guys doing today?
Excellent.
Doing good.
Cool beans. Awesome to hear that. Uh, we are honored and grateful to have an amazing guest from down under, Mr. Braeden King, is here to talk to us about his amazing uh, project BioFit and also his journey with colitis. And so again, Braeden, thank you for joining us, sir. How you doing, man?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, very welcome. And yeah, so we'll just get right into it. I'm very curious. Just by meeting you, you're just your page and what you're doing to me is just very compelling. And please tell me and and our audience, who Braden King is, and his story with colitis.
Awesome. So I'll pretty well start with, we'll go back a few years. So in May 2019, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis through a biopsy. I posted up a story the other day about how that whole process sort of went, but really the nuts and bolts of it, I'm actually part of the Australian Army. So down under here.
Cool.
And we were out on an exercise. We're out in some pretty harsh environment. You describe it pretty well as the desert. So we're out there and I came down really sick. I got rash all down my face, got really sick, started bleeding in the stool, got back, go to the medical center. Like, what's going on with me? This is crazy. So they do some tests and they're like, oh yeah, you got hemorrhoids, you're going to go in for a colonoscopy, you get those banded, you'll all be all good. So I go in colonoscopy, do all the prep, as you guys would know, absolutely horrible experience.
Right.
Jump into that one and I wake up, I'm the last patient of the day. And the doctor says to me, he's like, at the end of the bed, bag on. He's like, yeah, so I'm pretty sure you have an inflammatory bowel disease. I'm heading off. The nurse will book you in to come and see me next week. And he just left me like that. And that's pretty well how I just got this real fast jump into it. Being a young, male in Australia, fit, healthy, active, I thought, hey, this could never happen to me. And then blink of an eye, 1 minute I'm outfield doing the thing I love. And the next minute I've been told I've got an inflammatory bowel disease and later got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. That's pretty well the nuts and bolts of how it happened.
Wow.
Wow.
And so, when that doctor, left the room, what was going through your head?
So I pretty well sat there and I was in shock. I was coming out from obviously being under for the surgery, for the procedure. So I'm waking up and I look at the nurse. I'm like, did I hear him right? Did he just say I have a bowel disease? And she's like, yeah, he said that you have a chronic condition. I'm like, nah, that can't be right. Like, we've heard him wrong. And she just hands me this envelope with the photos taken from the colonoscopy and the little letter in there. And I just broke down. I was sitting there in this hospital, absolute broke down, did not know what to do. As you would know, being a veteran, you're not always around your family and friends. You're always quite some distance away. So I was actually just moved to Adelaide. I'd been here about a month at the time. And I had nobody here. So no social network, no support network. I just sat there, absolutely bawled my eyes out and sucked it up after that and just got to it.
That sounds pretty normal.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's, there's, I think, that's there's so many folks out there that, feel like it's not okay to share that. And we're all human, this is, again, this kind of information brought onto you is a lot, And so it's totally normal to process that, and so but I'll let Renika and CJ go.
CJ, you want to share? Ask a question. I mean, I can go. You can
Go ahead, Renika.
go. Okay, ready. So I want to say first, I know that was very uncomfortable to just be told just like that. Okay, well, you have this. Have a good day. Bye bye. You looking like, what in the world is going on? And that's kind of sort of how my experience was. Got told I had ulcerative colitis in 2011. You can't eat this, that, and that. Have a good day. Totally no comfort, no compassion, no understanding, no question and answer session. So I can only imagine how that felt for you. So now, what type of medication regimen or healthy lifestyle are you doing now since being newly diagnosed?
Yeah. So I went through the whole suppository phase at the start. So I was on a pentasa suppository and a steroid suppository to try and really kick it in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
It was ebbing and flowing, worked a little bit, didn't work other times. I was having massive amounts of flare-ups, and then we finally got it under control. So got it under control, and I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep taking a suppository. It's driving me mad. It's uncomfortable. It was impacting on relationships in my life. It was quite difficult. So I spoke to the doctor, and we got on a oral medication.
Okay.
And I tried that for a little bit. The side effects were just horrendous for me. So we tried another oral medication, same thing, side effects were no good again. So I actually went out and I did my own research, and I said, do I need to be on a medication to support this? If I can influence my body through fitness, health, eating the right thing, natural products, natural sources, what can I actually do? So I did a little bit of research, and we got this wonderful thing down here called emu oil. And there's actually a lot of studies starting to come out in the IBD community for the universities, where they're studying the effects of emu oil on rodents to check out if that actually lowers the inflammatory response in rodents with IBD. And they're having a lot of positive results with that. So I thought I'd try that. So I jumped on the emu oil, and I've been on that for 9 months now with no other medication. Every now and then I'll have a flare up. I'll take a suppository for about a month, and then I'll just go back to the emu oil and continue with that. So I really just take it as it goes, just monitor my fitness, my health, and my food. And as long as I do those things, it seems to work well for me.
Oh, that's awesome. I never heard that before. I'm interested in learning more about that. I know I take biologics. I take an injection once a month called Stellara. 90 milligrams goes into my belly around my umbilical entrance, which is my navel. And that pretty much has me in remission, along with, I did have ostomy surgery 2019. So, but I didn't have the opportunity to have a lot of the other medications. I went straight from diagnoses to one oral medication, then to biologics. So I'm glad you have found a path that worked for you, and I'm praying that everything continue to work for you in that way. But I'm interested in learning about that about that medication you shared, though. Thank you.
Yeah, so the emu oil is great down here. So it was used for a long time in our Indigenous communities. They've used it for many, many, many years, emu oils. And so there's been a whole lot of, as you know, Indigenous communities obviously have their own stories and their own research without being research in their communities. And it's good that we've actually looked at that, taken that, and we're trying it a little bit. So it's really good down here to be going through that process, and the fact that somebody's actually studying that and looking into it. And they're not at human trials yet. They're only just starting to get there on this emu oil, because the dosage is going to be very different compared to the rodents. But from people I speak to and people with similar stories to me, they're having a lot of success as well, which is really good.
It's interesting. It's interesting, Braeden. Like, I've there's a lot of like craft shows and like craft fairs and stuff, where I live and everything. And so I went, and my wife and I have been to several of them, and I've seen like a stand that's like just sells like all emu oil and stuff like that before. And actually like, so I didn't know people took it. I didn't know people like took it, like as far as like an inflammatory, like anti-inflammatory, but I bought it for like an anti-itch cream or something like that, something normal. And then but that's interesting. I'm like very curious too now, about that. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%. And where I find all my research, if anybody's interested, I jump straight on Google Scholar. I type in IBD and then whatever I'm looking for. And generally a heap of research studies will come up. So that's a great way to find it if anybody is looking to do their own research.
Cool. And look, and you are the one that's taking it. So you can do a review on it one day on your page, or if you haven't already you can do like a lot of just conversations about it per your own personal experience. I didn't even know rodents even had inflammatory bowel disease. That's new for me. I learned today. Like, didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that information. But awesome. That is very awesome that you're taking a holistic approach to your lifestyle, along with developing a healthier eating to help with your inflammation and other challenges. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. Question.
I just want to say that I feel like our stories were kind of similar for our diagnosis. Like for me, my doctor told me that I had it. He handed me the paper, and that was it. I went home with it, he wrote on there, he's like, you could also look on Crohn's and Colitis Foundation.com. And, you know, I went on the website, you know, it's just pictures of people, you know, being happy and stuff like that. I didn't find no use in that. It kind of like make me more depressed. I'm just like, what am I doing? And like something I talked to Jordan and Renika about was having an IBD rep at like every hospital, or at least every VA hospital, because when I was diagnosed, I was so lost. I would have loved to have at least like one person, or, you know, the doctor give that person my number so that person can contact me, you know, so to build that instant connection with somebody, because you have nobody that knows what you're going through. You don't know what you're going through, but with an IBD rep at the hospital, they can, you know, set you straight.
Mm-hmm. I agree with
100%.
that.
And it's quite scary that out of all of us, we all have very similar stories of our diagnosis and how it was a very, very miserable experience, and that there really wasn't that support. There wasn't the information then. There wasn't all these things that there really should have been. And it's actually quite scary. And you're right, there should be IBD reps. There should be people out there helping people who are newly diagnosed, because as you would know, when you get it, you've got no idea what's going on. You're like, is my life going to change? Is it not? What's going to be different? And just absolutely no idea.
Especially being like veterans, like from having that lifestyle change. Like for me, I went from, you know, being super active to now, like I used to be like 160. Now I'm around like 125, around there, and I'm barely exercising. The fatigue is like working me. I'm on my like third biologic, and it's a rough journey for myself. Like it's a mental battle. It's an everyday thing, but you know, having this community, this IBD community I'm a part of on Facebook and on Instagram, it's pretty much everything for me.
Yeah, 100%. And it's good to have that community there to support you, especially as you go through those things.
Definitely. I'm just so excited that I was doing some research recently, and I was like, where did the word, because back it up, I have Crohn's now. So 2015, now I have Crohn's from 2015 to now. I was like, where did this come from? So I learned that it was I think a doctor, a gastroenterologist, I could be wrong, I think I read it correctly, that developed or discussed this in like in, I think in the 70s. So we're not that long, we're not like, this is kind of like new. It's not like something been out for years, which it probably was, but I don't think it never was a name attached to it. And I think now a lot of younger individuals, we're more open to sharing. We're more confident. We're doing more connection. Social media has made everyone so accessible, and we're putting the word out there. So it's like every day I'm meeting somebody new that has a form of inflammatory bowel disease, whether it be ulcerative colitis, whether it be Crohn's, whether it be whatever. So I'm glad the community is supportive, as CJ has said, and that we are there to assist, because the doctors, they know the medical side of it, but unless they are also a patient themselves, out there to understand the psychological and physiological aspect of what we go through as patients outside of just having a diagnosis, if that makes sense. So that's pretty much what I have on that part. That's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, that's it. And the communities out there are great, you know, with the whole Instagram, Facebook, everything else there is. It's actually such a good opportunity for people to connect with other people, to share their stories, to seek information. It's this great way that we can pass around information quickly that we previously couldn't have done. If you look 10, 15 years ago, it wouldn't have happened. They would have been in the dark with a little print off PDF from the doctor, and that's it. So
that's scary. Think about that. Scary to think about. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah. So a couple of questions. One is, and what do you do, you know, today to keep a positive mindset? And then also, and I'm, you know, about bowel fit. And so, how did that start? And and what do you hope to accomplish with it?
Okay, great. So I'll start with the positive mindset. So what I try and do is I try and do something every day for me. And for me, that's training in one way or another. I absolutely love the gym, love training. When I went through and it sort of the fatigue really kicked in at the start. I was struggling to train. I was absolutely hating that because I couldn't do it. So no matter whether it's a 5-minute training session and just doing something very small, if I'm in a higher fatigue state or a higher inflammatory state, I'll do that rather than not doing anything. So that's really the big thing for me. And by doing that, it helps my mental well-being, my mental health, and it really just keeps me, with really good clarity of mind and able to continue through. So that's what I do to keep my headspace right as I continue to go through this and everything else.
Awesome. Yeah, and then BioFit. Yeah, so so I mean that's kind of what struck me. That's a really cool concept and stuff. And so so like what do you what do you hope to accomplish with that? What are your plans for it? That kind of thing. I'm curious.
So BioFit I've been thinking about BioFit for probably 12 months now. As I've been going through my own journey, I've been looking and I've been like, what sort of exercise can I do? What can't I do? I've been looking at the research and there really hasn't been much there, and only very, very small amounts of research into fitness and inflammatory bowel disease. So my idea of BowelFit is to increase over time and help people purely with inflammatory bowel disease to regain their fitness, to feel better about themselves, and really just to work on their body so that they're finding themselves in a happy place. Because as you know, when something goes wrong with your body, it can be a very miserable experience. So to have people feel better inside their own skin, to look a bit better, to feel a bit better, it's going to be huge for them. So that's my whole idea, to provide the information there for those who want to take that information and use that in whatever way they want to. Awesome. And for those who want a little bit more help, then that's what BowelFit's there to do, really, just to help those individuals, online programming, coaching, and motivation for those individuals to make sure that they stick to the process and continue through.
Cool. Oh, definitely wish you success. On that.
Definitely. I'm just curious, Brady, because once again, we discussed before about us being in different locations. What does your healthcare system look like where you're located? And I'm gonna tell you why I asked in a moment. But I'm just interested in seeing what do your healthcare system what does it look like where you are?
Right, so we've got a system called Medicare over here. And basically you pay a Medicare threshold each year with tax, which is, I can't tell you the exact percentage, it's pretty low. And by doing that, you get a little green card, which means that you can go to any bulk billing clinics, so you don't have to pay to go there. So you just swipe your card and you don't have to pay for your medical treatment at those places. So by doing that, you can go to these places, get that free treatment. If you want to see a certain doctor, he might charge a little bit more. They will cover part of that fee and you'll have to cover the rest of it. And when it comes to medication, we have something called the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme. Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme is to help people afford medication that they need. So they select a whole heap of medications on a list, and the government subsidises the cost of the medication. So instead of paying $150 for a month of tablets, you might pay $30 for a month of tablets. So they're the two things that we have here that really make it a lot easier for people to seek treatment. As well as that, a lot of people choose to have private health, so private health insurance, so that they can see the doctors, physicians, and anybody else who they want to see, so that they have that choice.
That is awesome. And I ask because we meet a lot of people from places, and we be hearing about a lot of people have different type of medical providers. Some have free medical care, some have no medical care. And where I live, it's sad. We have, what's the word I'm looking for? The most scariest healthcare system, I think. If you don't have the money for your healthcare, then you're not being seen. And a lot of people who can afford to get their yearly physical or your medications prescribed to you, they just don't go without. And it causes a lot of barriers with persons that have different diseases. We do have Medicare over here and Medicaid, but only certain persons over a certain age can get Medicare. I think I'm gonna say above 50, I guess, something like that. And Medicaid can give to most time children that have parents who can have some challenges and whatnot. But other than that, we don't really have a good supporting
disabled folks. Disabled folks, are included in that too. But but it's definitely not all of society.
Definitely, it's not. I had to get a CT scan done about 3 weeks ago, and my bill was
Yeah.
almost $12,000. And she was like, well, you have a balance of 3,000. I was like, 3,000 today? They was like, yeah. I said, ma'am, listen, I use good old $20 bill and keep moving because who can afford to pay $3,000 for the CT? Then I got to pay for the medication they gave me in the CT, the medication I had to drink. So that makes me have a bill right now. And then guess what? The sicker I become or a person become, their bills will accrue. So I wish we had something more supportive where we are to help those that like us and everybody else that have chronic illnesses that is not going to go away because it's very scary when you don't have proper insurance to take care of yourself. That's a stressor within itself. Worry about your stress of your insurance and whatnot. So I'm glad you have a positive support system where you are.
Yeah, and I can just imagine it would add to the stress of it when you're already in this state, like especially those discovering and being diagnosed with it, to then have to think, what is this going to cost me?
Yes.
I can't even imagine how that goes. That must be very difficult for them.
You know, it's funny, like, sorry guys, that when I was starting my journey, I was trying to get set up with the VA, so I didn't have any insurance, but I was getting symptoms, so I had to go to a private insurance through my parents, and you know, they paid and everything, but there's a time where I had to go to the ER like 2 or 3 times, and I swear to you guys, they billed me like a year later, like for each of those visits, like an extreme amount, like $500, $700 for like one day, and it was ridiculous, and that made me, you know, not want to keep going. I'm just like, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm gonna have to tough this one out because I don't have that 700.
Yeah.
And that's a scary reality for some people.
It is. And it gets only worse when someone says, am I going to eat or am I going to pay this medical bill? Okay, I might want to eat. So I wish we had support like other places have, like you have. That's awesome. It really is. And just help.
The United States is, you know, is like one of the very few countries in the world that they have not figured that part out yet.
Yeah, we're not figured it out yet.
So, but that's anywho, changing the subject. So besides being, you know, Balfour Braeden, what else do you like to do in your free time, man?
So aside from that, I really love wine, right? Which, as you know, sometimes doesn't quite work well with the old IBD. But I love getting out. We've got some nice wine regions around, so going out, tasting wines, trying wines. That's probably one big thing I love that I don't get to do enough of anymore with all the dietary changes I've had to make over time. And aside from that, Australians love the beach. I'm sure you've heard that.
Right.
So we spend a lot of time down the beach over here.
Surf
so in the surf, surf definitely. So we're in the surf, running along the beach. Always in the water.
Awesome.
So
that's awesome.
Very good.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, I think we're gonna wrap things up here a little bit, but I'm really curious. And also, for anybody else that's listening, how can people, get in contact with you to be a client of yours or to find out more information from you? And and also, any other, shout outs, projects, anything else you'd like to share?
Okay, great. So for me at Balfit, Balfit, you'll see if you go into the Instagram page, that's the only place we are at the moment, only on Instagram, just focusing on that and building that community. The link tree down in the bio there, you can jump on that link tree. There's an apply for coaching button on there. We can go through, fill out a Google form. And there's also a website where you can fill out information. Currently, right now, I'm just focusing on getting free information out there and giving people the very best information they can. So right now, I'm not taking on any clients in that space. In the future, I will be. Right now, I'm just trying to connect with as many people as I possibly can, hear their stories, understand their pains, understand their struggles, so we can really develop the best experience for people, because the last thing we want to do is start somebody off with this experience and not have it being the very best that they need and being able to give them the support that they need. So really, it's just in that phase right now of talking to people. So reach out, message us, we'll have a chat, and I'll be in contact with you.
Awesome. Yeah, you heard it from the man. Reach out to Braeden today at Balfit. He will hook you up with great information. So, so again, I'm Jordan, and if you guys that are listening to us found value in this show, please like and subscribe to us. We would greatly appreciate it. You can check us out at www.crohnsveteran.com. You can support our brand on our Teespring store. We have Crohn's and colitis gear on there. You can check out this podcast it's on all podcast platforms, on Apple, on Google, Spotify, Anchor, all that good stuff. You can support our YouTube channel, all that kind of stuff. So again, we appreciate the love, we appreciate the support, and we definitely appreciate Braeden's time today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for having me.
Thank you
great.
for coming. It's been nice to meet you.
You too. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, Steve.